This week on the Digital Coffee, there is a new way to monetize your Facebook groups. Instagram is adding auto captioning for stories, and Pinterest wants you to search for your beauty tips using skin tones. All that and more after this. Good morning, and welcome to the Digital Coffee. This is your weekly dose of digital marketing and social media news for small business. My name is Amanda Webb. If you have a Facebook group with over 1,000 members, there is going to be a new way to monetize it, which is great news, I think, for Facebook group owners, admins, whatever you call them. So this new tool is going to be called Sponsored Posts. This is what it's going to look like in your group feed. And sponsored posts are basically using the brand collaboration tool. What am I talking about? The brand collaboration tool. Well, this has been available for pages and for creators for quite some time. So if you were doing a sponsored post, maybe you were a creator and you were sponsored by a brand, you would tag the brand in that sponsored post, and then both of you will be able to see the statistics for that post. So it's a great way to be transparent with the brands that you're working with. It was also required by Facebook that you did this if you had a page or if you had a creator account on Facebook or Instagram. They're introducing this to Facebook groups. And that means that you will be able to advertise to your users within your Facebook group, as in somebody will be able to come and pay you money to advertise to the audience that you've grown, which I think is fantastic. Also, of course, some groups would have sponsors. This is a great way that you can promote the work that the sponsors are doing. If it works exactly the same way as it does on Facebook pages and for creators, it means that you'll either be able to do this organically or you'll be able to pay. So it will become part of your advertising interface. Now, this is really curious because we've never been able to advertise into groups before, into the feed in groups. And I think this would be a nice way of allowing advertising in groups once it's only done from the group itself. I think this could be really great. You need 1,000 subscribers. So if you don't have 1,000 people in your group, you won't be able to do this yet. But it does give you that additional option to monetize your audience. Facebook groups, I think, are a fantastic business tool, but there's been a problem with it from a data and a metrics point of view. There's a real problem. And I think that's because you put a post out there and nobody reacts to it. And you're not sure, is nobody reacting to it because Facebook isn't showing it to anyone, or is nobody reacting to it because it just isn't working for my audience? And having that knowledge would be really good for us. So it looks like Facebook are going to address this by showing us page post data, insights on individual posts. This is the first screen from it. You can see you just get a little overview underneath about what your reach was like, and then you can jump in and see more detail on engagement statistics. So this is fabulous. This is brilliant for us to know the answer to those questions. Is anyone actually seeing my post, or is it just rubbish and they're really not interested? But of course, there's a big downside, because when Facebook did this on pages, when Facebook, if any of you remember, it was a long time ago, but when pages were first there, we couldn't see any information about who saw our posts. When they started introducing this information, firstly, we realized that not many people were seeing our posts. And secondly, the reach declined over time, forcing us really that if we wanted posts to be seen or important posts to be seen, to pay to get them seen. Now, could the same happen to groups? We've already looked now at sponsored posts maybe appearing from our own collaborations in the post feed. Could we now be encouraged to be boosting our posts to that audience? I'm thinking two things are going to happen here. Firstly, we're going to be utterly shocked at how few people in our group see our posts. utterly shocked. That's what happened last time. We were like, unbelievable, only that many people see my posts. And the second thing that's going to happen is people are going to start wanting to algorithm hack. As we find out more about how the Facebook group algorithm specifically works, we're going to see a lot more spammy and bad posts appearing as people desperately try to get their posts seen. So although I'm delighted that we'll be able to see more data, I'm a little bit worried that it's going to ruin groups. We all know it's really important to caption your videos. Apparently, my Facebook Live this week isn't auto captioning, which is devastating to me because I think that's a fantastic tool. People watching on replay or people watching this clip on other channels, I will have captioned it for you. It's important because unless we caption our videos, we're not allowing our content to be visible to people who are hearing impaired or people who can't, for one reason or another, listen with the sound on right now. And one place captioning has been missing, most social networks have jumped on this and allowed us to upload captions, if not auto caption. But one place it's been missing is Instagram. And this week, it looks like Instagram are testing story captions. So now you will be able to auto caption your stories, which means it won't be 100% accurate. It will be a little bit on and off like the captions usually are when I do my live show, but it does mean that it makes it accessible to those people. So good news there. I think it's a great idea. I'll definitely be switching that option on when I open my new phone and I can create Instagram stories again. I'll definitely be switching that new option on. But two things confuse me here. Firstly, I want to upload my own captions. I know there's tools out there that can burn them in. That's what we would call open captions, but I want to be able to upload my caption file. That's not there yet. And really, we've only seen this it's not official from Instagram yet. But just in stories, what about the feed? Can I have the option to have auto captions or upload captions in the feed too, please, Instagram? All in all, I do think it is a good thing, but I do think they need to roll it out further. One of the big problems Twitter has had in the past is that if a conversation is very active on Twitter, you'll always have some idiot chiming in, either spamming you, being abusive, being trolly, just ruining the whole experience. And I think, Twitter has got this reputation of being a toxic space because of these things happening. And you may remember a few weeks ago, Twitter introduced a test on what they're calling Twitter reply control. I think something really not a great name. Come to me, Twitter, we'll work on that. So what Twitter reply controls, it's not called anything catchy, does is it gives you the option to choose who you want to reply to your tweets, which could keep some conversations safer. I wouldn't recommend doing it a lot because you're cutting off a massive amount of Twitter this way that can't get engaged with you. It's not a way you would be able to grow your engagement audience. But what it allows you to do is either you can have everyone replies to your tweet, you can set it up so only people you follow reply to your tweet. You can have it so anyone that you tag in the post can reply to your tweet, or you can have it so only you yourself can reply. So this is broadcasting. This would be like maybe you wanted to do a multi-level thread, but you didn't want anyone to react to it. I do think it's a good idea because it does facilitate, it gives you control. That's what it does. It gives you control of your conversation and it facilitates better conversations. So I like the option that's there, but I would say use it with caution because, again, you don't want to necessarily cut off every conversation just because an idiot chimes in. Zoom backgrounds are massive, aren't they? It's like when I go on a Zoom call with a load of people, there are such creative ones there. Sometimes people look like they're in the most amazing office. Sometimes people look like they're on a beach. Sometimes there's actually the BBC released a whole load. So you can put in like a Doctor Who TARDIS background, which I would love. My computer doesn't support backgrounds, which makes me sad, but my iPad does. So for family stuff, when I don't need to look proper, I will use the Doctor Who Zoom background, which is cool. There's also an only for, there's so many really cool ones. But the news this week is that Giphy, which remember is owned by Facebook now, has released animated GIF backgrounds. So if you really want to stand out in those meetings, if you want to look a little bit wacky, you could try one of their kind of freakishly designed animated GIFs. I'm going to link to the YouTube video underneath so you can see how freakish they are. Would you use these? Would you use this? And I think it really depends on who you're talking to. Maybe in a business setting, it's not the right tool to use, this mad animated GIF. But I thought one way you really could use this is if you're creating videos for YouTube, or if you're creating videos for other social networks. Having this kind of background that you could move around in is a very quick way to do green screen. Of course, you're not hosting a meeting, you'll just be recording yourself doing it, and it could be a nice little segment of a video. So I think there's a real possibility there. What surprises me is, as I said, Giphy is now owned by Facebook, and we know Facebook is really pushing its Zoom killer, Rooms. So it's really weird to see them embracing Zoom in such a way. Just shows us how big Zoom has got. I've got a question for you. Do you feel represented online? I'm going to say if you're white, you probably do, because most of the stuff that we see online is designed or is showing white faces. And there has been a bit of a change recently since the Black Lives Matter campaign. We've seen more corporate companies embracing faces with different colours, which is a good thing, right? And actually, I think there's a lot more, it's not quite there yet, but there's a lot more female faces we see online as well. I've been working really hard for the last few years to try and make sure that when I choose an animated GIF, it's got a woman in the animated GIF, because that represents me and that represents the majority of my audience. It's a big thing to do, isn't it, to be inclusive? And my favorite social media company from a marketing point of view, Pinterest, are addressing this issue. They are introducing Pinterest search for beauty tips by skin tone. So you can go in, you click the skin tone that represents you the most, and you will see faces that should be more representative of you. And that's Pinterest's idea behind it. They want you to feel like you belong online. When you go somewhere, that you are part of a group of people who represent you, whether it's female, whether it's abled or disabled, whether it's whatever skin tone you have. It's a really good way to make you feel comfortable. So I do like this idea from Pinterest. And when they do things like this, I wonder in the future, and I'm not talking about next year or the year after, but in the long-term future, is Pinterest and their image search the future of search engines beyond the voice searches we do? When you see them implementing tools that mean that they'll be able to reach a much bigger audience and embrace that much bigger audience, I think Pinterest really is the one to watch. We all know that direct messaging is huge right now. People are far more likely to talk in direct messaging than they are to phone people or to leave a public comment on Facebook or on another social network. And one social network has really been lagging behind on the direct messaging thing, and that's Twitter. I think Twitter, we tend to think we get a lot of spammy messages on Twitter. We tend to think it's just a customer care thing. And they've been introducing new tools that hopefully are going to make Twitter direct messaging more of a thing. And this week, they're looking at potentially introducing voice messaging. So you will now be able to, that's a really dark picture you can hardly see, but you will now be able to record a voice message instead of a text message. Now, I don't love voice messaging, I have to say. When I get a voice message, I kind of go, I haven't got time to listen to this. It could be 6 minutes long. I want to listen to it because it's somebody I'm interested in chatting to, but I don't have time to listen to it now because I'm out or because I'm working on something, and 6 minutes seems like a commitment. I can't just scan through the text and see what it says. So I'll put it aside and then I'll totally forget about it for days. And then eventually I'll listen to it and I'll realise I should have listened to it earlier. So I'm not a big fan of voice messaging from that perspective, but there is a real value in it. Firstly, people are using it all over the place. We're using it on WhatsApp, we're using it in Facebook Messenger. So people are really enjoying that. Secondly, somebody said they wouldn't use it for business, but I think from a business point of view, it might be nice to get a voice message from a business because there's a real human connection there, right? They start understanding you, they start knowing who you are, much like hopefully we get to know each other on these digital coffee chats. So there's a real value there. And then of course the third reason is not everyone can type. I type really badly on my phone. It's almost, you'd have to pretty much guess what I was trying to say if you saw what I typed on my phone. I should just stop doing it altogether. I keep persisting and I keep sending ridiculous things out. And also some people are just not able to type for one reason or another. So voice messaging gives people that accessibility, that option to talk to people. So Twitter introducing this, it could be big for Twitter. It could be big for direct messaging if they can get people using it.